New York Times bestselling author and illustrator Brian Selznick has penned yet another children's masterpiece. The Marvels tells two stories from different eras that begin to blend together. The illustrated story of shipwreck survivor Billy Marvel and the story told in prose of young runaway Joseph Jervis. Brian joins us in studio. Congratulations on this. This is a work of art and a labor of love for you. It took you 3 years?
Yeah, it was a long time, 3 years writing and illustrating, a full year just drawing the pictures that appear in the book after sketching and research and all of that.
It is amazing because I use the word masterpiece introducing it, and it truly is a work of art. It's just a masterpiece of illustrations. It's a very different way of presenting a book to people. Tell me about the, kind of the thought behind it.
Yeah, the first 400 pages are all pictures that tell a story that follows 5 generations of a single family from 1766 to 1900. So you're getting the narrative visually, and then suddenly there's a cut and it jumps to a different story in 1990, and then that's all text. So the way the story is told in pictures becomes almost like the way you remember things, and then the story in text incorporates that memory, and it becomes part of the memory for the characters in the story, and it becomes part of the memory for the reader who's having the experience of holding this book in their hands.
There's nothing like this out there, the way that people would go through this book. And tell me about kind of the creative process that you hope for people, the takeaway of when you say looking back, and that would be their memory of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved experimenting with how words and pictures work together. Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak is one of my favorite books, and I've learned so much from that book. And I was friends with Maurice Sendak, and so I've thought about what you can do with words and pictures. And in my previous book, The Invention of Hugo Cabret, the words and the pictures work together to tell a single story so that it feels almost like an old silent movie, because that story was about movies.
Right.
And Wonderstruck was about a deaf character, and a person who's born deaf experiences their life mostly visually, so it made sense to tell us the story with pictures. And with the Marvels, I realized pretty early on that I wanted to play with memory and storytelling and family and the way people pass stories down from generation to generation. And I like the idea that the reader becomes part of the process of making the story.
Yeah.
I don't want to just tell the reader everything. I want the reader to be able to piece together what's happening, and that's something that they're able to do when the story is told in these very different ways.
And the interesting kind of backdrop to this is that this will be passed down from generation to generation over time. Tell me about the success of Hugo and seeing this on the big screen.
Yeah. It was really amazing. I mean, when I made a book about French silent movies for kids, which was not a real guaranteed bestseller.
If you had pitched that to a publisher, and I was like, oh, really?
Not so much. And then, Martin Scorsese called, and he had read it. His daughter had read it, and the family thought it might be nice for Scorsese to make a movie that his young daughter could see. And there were a lot of things in the story that it turned out Scorsese related to. The lonely child, he was a sick, lonely child. The director, of course. Scorsese himself rediscovered a lost, forgotten director, Michael Powell, who made The Red Shoes, the way Hugo, in my story, rediscovers Méliès. Scorsese is a film scholar, as well as being a director, a historian. So there were all these things in the story that it turned out he related to and responded to, and then he made this incredible movie out of my book that I got to walk onto the set, and which was designed by Dante Ferretti, who won an Oscar for it. And I do all my drawings really small. They're like 1/4 the size, and then they get blown up for the book.
Right.
So I work very small. And so walking into a life-size train station that Dante Ferretti built and designed based on my little drawings, it was like stepping into a dream, like you have a dream, and then suddenly it's real.
It'd be surreal for you, for sure.
It's very strange.
I just have to ask before we go, because people are you right-handed?
I am right-handed. you may have noticed my glittery wristband.
Your bling.
Yes, I have a little wrist injury, and I'm friends with Sandy Powell now, who designed the costumes for Hugo, and she also did the costumes for Cinderella and had some extra Swarovski crystals.
I love it.
And so she blinged me out when I saw her recently in London.
It could set a precedent, a statement piece.
Right, it's good, right?
Thank you so much, and congratulations on Marvels. Thank you for sharing with us this morning.
Thank you so much.